anyone can be a giver, right? Anyone can be a giver, but there is something special about someone who's given a lot over many years, and we owe these people, and especially when they're willing to share our lessons learned, their lessons learned. And I guess they do put on their pants one leg at a time. They're not supermen, but they have a lot to share with us. So Raj Gupta, I'll just introduce all three of them, and then they can come up all at once and just dive right into a conversation with Ginny. Raj Gupta was born in a small village in Uttar Pradesh, India, as a 22-year-old in spring of 1968. He came to the United States with $8 in his pocket and went on to do graduate studies at Cornell, one of the top universities that's not Drexel in the country. He built a 39-year career at global Fortune 500 specialty materials company, Rohm Haas, where he retired as chairman, CEO in 2009. He served as a director of 15 different public companies, and he's went to IIT Bombay, Drexel, and Cornell at different points of his education. And he wrote a book, which I have read and reviewed, and it's called $8 in a Dream, My American Journey. I so recommend this book. There are lots of books in this genre if people have come from India, not without much materially, but created something, but like this is the best one I've read, so check it out. Ravi Reddy is an accomplished entrepreneur and investor. You just heard from him across several asset classes through his private investing holding company, Think Capital. Think promotes seed stage companies in biotech, enterprise, software technology, et cetera. Again, all these three, they've done a lot in the business world, but why they're asking them to come up here is to talk about their role in giving. He's a founding donor investor in SKS Finance, where I first came across him 20 plus years ago. But now his passion is community pure water, which provides clean and safe drinking water to a population of 700,000 with the goal to serve 1 million people by 2018. He's also involved in American India Foundation that Venki and I are involved in. And then Deepak Raj, who's the chairman of IPA, is the founder and managing director of the New Jersey-based private investment firm Raj Associates, with investments in real estate, public and private securities. He, with his wife Neera, the founder of the Raj Center on Indian Economic Policies at Columbia University, has extensive experience as an investment banker, is deeply involved in Pratham USA, where he was executive chairman for up until very, very recently. I think they just honored him for his great work recently in New York. And is involved in more other good things than you can imagine. I learn about more every day. So Raj, Deepak, Ravi, please join us on stage.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ranjini Mahalanobish. I go by Jeannie too, and I'm a student here at Drexel University. I'm in my 5th year, and I'm studying information systems and business analytics. It's a great pleasure of mine to be here today on the announcement of the India Giving Day. So before I get started with the question, David had asked me to tell people why I'm here, or how I contribute to the society, right? So it's a personal story. So growing up, by the way, if you're looking for Bengali connections, a proud Bengali right here. There you go. So for us, Bengalis, Durga Puja is a big deal. It's a big part of our life. And during this time, the entire city is lit up. Everyone is wearing new clothes, and everybody's out and about having a great time. But the traditions in my family were a little different. So before I get to buy new clothes, my dad used to take me to the store to get clothes for the underprivileged kids. So my dad used to make sure that we can at least get clothes for at least 100 children, so that everyone can have a good time and wear those new clothes, right? So I think one of my fondest memories growing up was spending that day with my dad and those kids and just having a great time. So going off from there, I would want to ask all of you, which moment in your life do you think you realized that you wanted to make a difference through philanthropy?
Want me to go first?
Sure.
Well, obviously I had a business career, but once I left that and we started our own business, many other things. But we've been giving money, to several not-profits for many years. But about, I would say 10, 15 years ago, was a moment when I said, hey, listen, you've done all this, funding is one thing, but, how do you make a real difference in terms of giving time? And that was about, I would say, 10 years ago or so. And actually, I did it, if I can say so, in a sort of systematic kind of a way. I mean, the first cause that I picked up was education. I mean, it's a cliche, but we are all here because of the incredible education we got in India. And by the way, we got it for really nothing. I mean, the fee that we paid, and, it's incredible. And I recognized, that we are really riding on the shoulders of that education, those institutions, and the teachers, who were absolutely amazing. So that was the first thing, and that's when I joined Pratham. And Pratham is a scaled-up organization, for children in India. And then in the U.S., as Alex mentioned, we started this institution at Columbia. And the most fun I've had in the last, I would say 3 to 5 years, is that I co-founded something called Indian American Impact, which is focused on getting young men and women in our community in the US, help them get elected to public office, at all levels of government. And it's been a blast. So it's been a great journey, and we have much more to do, but we're looking forward to onwards and upwards. Thanks.
So I would say one little coincidence I should mention, Deepak Raj and I went to the same high school in Kanpur. So BNST College, which had its own reputation. I think in terms of timing, very similar. I would say, obviously we did small things for the family and friends and extended family in India from time to time, but it was really after my retirement from Rohm Haas, going back in 2009, that we thought it was really something that was worth considering. And my origins go back to, we are 6 kids born over 7 years. And my parents were of modest means. I mean, comfortable, but modest means. And every summer, I still remember, we had at least 6 or 5 cousins staying with us all throughout summer. And, my parents always contributed to education of help, who were serving them, as well as the extended family. So this is something that we grew up with, sharing. And again, as when my career started, we used to give the usual United Way and small amounts to the 2 alma maters I had, Drexel and Cornell. But it was really after my retirement in 2009 that we launched the foundation Ujala. And some of it really goes back to the company I spent 39 years with, Haas family. And Rohm Haas company was started in Philadelphia in 1909. And the founder and his wife started their foundation in 1945. And the company was relatively small. And today that company has $6 billion in assets and gives away between $250 and $300 million, and most of it in the Philadelphia area. And the culture of this company was very much sharing and giving. And that's something that had a lot of influence on me. And the final thing I would say, we have 2 daughters, and both of them do social work. The younger one is civil rights lawyer, who's now the Associate Attorney General, and the older one is head of infectious diseases at Johns Hopkins, and he has been working in India for 20 plus years in malaria, TB, and HIV. So I think they have also kind of incented us. And finally, they say, we don't want anything from you. We will be self-sustaining, so do whatever you want to do with what you have. And all those things have been motivational for us to do things.
Well, I would just want to thank David, Drexel, Alex, India Philanthropy Alliance, and Vijay to get us over here, working with both of you, both excellent organizations. Thank you. So my journey is somewhat different. I'm a 2nd generation philanthropist. My grandfather was a farmer, and my dad was a civil engineer. So when my dad retired, in those days, as a government servant, you retired at age 55. So he promptly, after retirement, went to his native village, pretty much donated all of his part of the land that my grandfather divided among 5 sons, put it in a charitable trust. That was roughly about 45 years ago. So I saw my dad doing tremendous amount of community work since I was in high school. So when I sold my first company in 1997, I immediately set up a private foundation here in the US. And it's been a wonderful journey for me in deploying my philanthropic dollars to very specific interests that I've had, all going towards poverty alleviation and improving the quality of life for rural communities, pretty much most of it. Yes, I do some degree of philanthropy here in the US over the years. So it's kind of a little different. I feel that any problem that we want to tackle as a foundation has to be scalable and sustainable. Those are the only areas that I focus my attention on.
For like individuals like me who are who want to make a difference through philanthropy but don't have sufficient resources at this point of my life, I would say, what would you say is your advice? How should we move forward? Who should we contact? What should we do? Start from there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to an example, right? I mean, on Saturday, I was in DC attending this World Cultural Festival. I don't know how many of you heard about it or went there. They were, I think, you guys were there, right? I mean, so, 500,000 people in DC, talking about how do you improve your lives, more compassion, more empathy, and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm bringing up that point is that I think they had an amazing army of volunteers at this thing called Art of Living. That is the organization that actually put it together. And I think there is just incredible opportunities for young people and everybody actually to volunteer. So I think if there's a cause that is close to your heart, close to your mind, could be wellness, could be climate, could be education. There are incredible opportunities to work with really great organizations now. I mean, the quality of NGOs has really gone up tremendously. It always was great, but I think you have really several really terrific NGOs. Pratham, over this summer, in India, because of COVID, a lot of kids fell really behind in their learning levels, right? So how do you take somebody who lost 2 years and bring them up to par very quickly? And we had 120,000 volunteers throughout the country, right, who were doing this. And so I think this whole, and the young, I mean, like yourself, I mean, I think, the energy I see from the young people wanting to do things, and having, very strong mission in life, it is very awe-inspiring. I mean, the last thing I would say is that impact, one of the privileges I've had is to interact with a large number of young women and men, very well educated. They can do whatever they want. They can go work for private equity, they can go work for, Goldman Sachs, or if they want to, but they have devoted their life to public service. And it is just, quite frankly, and you talk about why we do this, it's just a joy to work with them and interact with them. So a lot of opportunities to do. And then obviously, if you want to contribute, some money to start thinking in that direction, all the better.
Deepak covered it very well. So, I think about this is you have to find your passion. And, and that's where you start. And when you don't have means, you spend your time. And over time, you sort of find what really appeals to you. And when you have resources, you contribute your resources and your time, and that's where the scale up happens. And I think it really is a sequential thing. It's not something that you can just imagine and start only when you have the resources or just when you have the time. The other thing I would say, that going back to the previous conversation about corporates, the three-way alliances, they are not easy. And the reason they're not easy is because corporates always think about what's in it for them. And when you start talking about a social cause or a nonprofit, the idea is what good we can do. And finding that right combination of the three so that you have a good alignment, and this is not about what's in it for me approach, but what can we achieve. Getting to that point is the essence of making a successful alliance with the corporates.
That's it.
So echoing on Deepak and Raj, I wanted to add one element that Alex brought out early on is he had a desire to work towards having a mentor. I think that's a very, see, in careers you do need to identify what type of, I mean, beyond what Raj was saying and Deepak, yes, you start with your own personal interest. Whether it eventually develops into a passion, initially you're not sure. So try a few things that you will, early on. See, I'd rather you folks try, and that's what I did too when I was 18 years old. I tried a few things and somehow something clicked, and then, so it's better to try early on than later on. And the second thing is, even for service-oriented type of desire you have, identify the type of organization, type of individual who could mentor, and then reach out and then spend some time. And that'll help you and all the young folks out there to get to that goal, a little bit sooner, a little faster, probably better.
Okay, so try to find your passion, volunteer. Yeah.
Commercials before we end up?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay for me
Yeah,
to
absolutely. Go
have
ahead.
a commercial here? First, yeah, exactly. First thing is that we are, Alex and IPA, and we are hosting 2 incredible women on October 4th at 10 a.m., Alex, is that what it is? 11 a.m., sorry. 11 a.m., it's a webinar, and it is Women in Philanthropy. Great subject, right? And the 2 women, by the way, one is Indra Nui, who I'm sure many of you have heard of or know. Absolutely fantastic journey that she has had and what she's accomplishing. And the other one is Andrea Jung. Andrea was a CEO of Avon and many other organizations, and now I think she's still leader of Grameen Foundation. Right, Alex? Grameen America. So incredibly accomplished women. And for all of you, obviously, please tune in. And those who are watching, please tune in. And Alex, if we can share the webinar number, I think that'd be great. Second thing is, and I'm sorry I was a little bit late coming in. I'm assuming Alex has said this already, but I'm the chair of IPA. And we have India Giving Day, our second one in March of 2024. The first one we did was a bit of an experiment. We didn't quite know, where we'll end up, but we ended up in a very nice place. And so we would really love to have your support and your engagement in making our second one a much bigger success. One of the things that I always think about is that I live in New Jersey, in just northern New Jersey, right? So think about northern New Jersey, like 2 or 3 counties. There's a Jewish organization that raises $100 million a year just from that community for their causes. $100 million a year just for those causes. And by the way, the number keeps growing by like leaps and bounds. And I'm sure Alex had mentioned the organization in Dallas, which we fashioned this after. So we have just begun on this journey. I think there's this tremendous potential to come together and support these wonderful organizations that we have participate in these events. So please do help, please do participate, please do engage, and thank you very much for that.
Can I add a couple of thoughts around that? I think one of the things.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should introduce a co-chair
No.
of India Giving Day. Raj has agreed to be a co-chair there, which we are grateful for.
Oh,
Raj.
no, this is a great organization. It didn't take a lot of convincing by Alex and Deepak for me to really join it. It's my pleasure and privilege. I think this giving, I agree that, start, experiment, grow into a passion, and then contribute your resources. But one of the things that's been a decision for me is to say I left India about 56 years ago. What I owe to my motherland versus what I know to my country that made me successful and contributed to my success. And so we made one of the very conscious decisions that we want to contribute equally to both countries. And one of the challenges for our community, Americans in India, which are a very well-off community and growing rapidly, I am not sure how we continue the commitment to India for the generation after us and the one after, who really don't have a lot of exposure or interest or infrequent interaction. And I think one of the things we can do through these organizations we're talking about is to develop both an affinity to your, motherland, or maybe it's your parents' motherland or grandparents, and at the same time be very active in the community that you're living in. And I'm hoping that, something like what we have with India Giving Day is a vehicle that reaches out broadly. And even a small contribution can make a big difference in India.
Thank you for that, Raj.
Quick add to that, what Raj just mentioned is very relevant. One of the things that our foundations have done and continue to do is we have identified the next generation of young, be it just not family, but children of my close friends in India who are successful professionals themselves. So they are now part of our, because we have a charitable trust in India, so we have that next generation being more or less involved. They're young parents today, but they're putting in a few hours here and there, and maybe they'll increase over a period of time. And simultaneously, we're doing the same thing in the US. So that way, there is some continuity and connection in US side as well as India side specific to that. Of course, the next generation growing up in the US, they have obviously will not have that level of what just Raj and Deepak are saying, but I believe they will be globally oriented, and they're talking to each other. They're figuring out how to manage these trusts, which more or less will be there several generations down. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was really insightful.